More drama and confusion with the World Beach Games. And national holiday starts on April 19th, and mudik is just around the corner. Welcome to the latest news from Bali in Indonesia. This is April 15th, 2023, and my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? Not bad. You know, I've been saying, I hate saying stuff about the weather because it always reverses itself. If I say it's good, it's going to be bad. If I say it's bad, it's going to be good. Today, it was hot. Right now, at 6 p.m., it is 28.4 degrees Celsius in Bulang in Singaraja. The humidity is 64%, and the wind speed is a mild 8.4 kilometers per hour. And we've gone for 2 whole days without rain, and so I'm happy about that, and I just know it's going to rain again, now that I've said that. And there was a big earthquake, I guess it was yesterday. I didn't feel it up here, 6.6, big one, in North Java, and was felt down in the south. My children all said, wow, gates were shaking and things were rattling, and well, no tsunami, and from what I hear, no significant damage, and so that's a good sign, but 6.6, that's a big one. But here in Singaraja, yeah, didn't feel a thing. Lots of stuff's going on with bules behaving badly, and deportations, and naked tourists, and drunk tourists, and stuff, and I'm just getting really tired of talking about all of it. I am going to mention it in an article and collapse everything into one, and so that's coming up. But right now, national holiday is about to start. Jokowi signs presidential instruction. National holiday starts April 19th, only 4 days away. Through the presidential decree, the Eid holidays will be April 19th, 20th, 21st, 24th, and 25th. And Eid is on the 22nd. The date was changed for the national holiday. It was really going to be the 21st, but a proposal was submitted to anticipate the number of Eid homecoming or the mudik travelers. You know, one of the biggest mass movements in the world here for Eid, when everybody goes home. That's called mudik, homecoming travel. And well, according to this article, more than 100,000 people is more than 100 million people. And in one article I read, it said 140 million are going to be traveling. And so if the new leave started on April 24th, the transportation minister was worried that there would be massive bottlenecks and congestion. So with the holiday starting on the 19th, people can start mudik on the 18th. And actually, people have already started mudik. I've noticed some here in the kampung, as I said the other day, and well, they're flooding in here. And how is this going to affect you? Well, if you're traveling by car, there's going to be a lot more cars here, a lot of plates, Java plates you're probably going to be seeing, and the malls and tourist places and restaurants, so it should be busy. And let's take a look at an article on that. Wisdom visits during Eid holiday predicted to increase income during low season in Bali. Wisdom is domestic tourist. So the large number of domestic tourists who come to visit Bali during the Eid holiday this year are said to be able to fill the income of the community or lower middle class entrepreneurs during the low season. We are in the low season right now for international tourists, so having people here for the Eid holidays is going to help the business people here on the island. Tourism observer Professor Dr. Putu Anam said that the community had been waiting for the Eid holiday to come to Bali since the COVID-19 pandemic began, because there was not a lot of people coming during those years, 20 and 21. In 22, numbers started to pick up again. It's hoped that with the celebration of the Eid holidays, with the long collective leave from the 19th to the 25th, that there's going to be a lot more people coming in here. Professor Dr. Anam predicted that there'll be many tourists visiting, especially entering via Gili Manuk. Most of them will use private cars or buses, and apart from Java Island, there'll also be domestic tourists coming in from Sumatra and other islands as well, and we get people coming in from Makassar as well. So you got a lot of people showing up here, and I imagine we'll get some people from Lombok and maybe from Sumbawa and, well, who knows where else. Professor Dr. Anam said what is profitable from here now is that there is still not enough foreign tourists, and this Lebaran can fill the low season. Professor Dr. Anam said most of the domestic tourists stay in 3-star hotels. Professor Dr. Anam said the food stalls that will be visited will generally have Muslim nuances, so they're going to get a lot of business. And the hotels and restaurants and the Balinese who are working there understand the culture and beliefs of other people, and so they will be able to provide good service for our domestic tourists coming in here. Professor Dr. Nam continued craftsmen, for example, at the Sukawati Art Market. Well, that's usually busy there, and the tourists, he said, like to buy a lot of cheap souvenirs. Okay. Because maybe foreign tourists aren't buying the cheap souvenirs, and so the locals like to buy them. He said they don't spend a lot of money. The hotels generally around 300,000, and then they might spend $1 million per day while they're here. So that's, well, $1 million per day is not bad. And so expect local tourists. If you haven't seen them yet, you're gonna see them soon. So probably not a good time of the year to go traveling around the island. Okay, what about the World Beach Games? Okay, no, the fiasco about the U20 World Cup and how it got canceled and Governor Koster's role in that. Well, here we are again. The Indonesian Minister of Youth and Sports met with the Bali Governor here in Bali, and that was Friday, yesterday. And the general chairperson of the Indonesian Olympic Committee was also at the meeting. According to the minister, he said that the results of the meeting were that they reached an agreement with the governor of Bali, and according to him, the governor is fully in support of the games here, the World Beach Games, 1,000%, he said. Now, in this article, it says, Governor of Bali, Koster, emphasized that the 2023 World Beach Games in Bali must comply with the mandate and maintain the authority of the Constitution. More on this coming up in the next article. As long as there's a commitment that has become an agreement to hold the 2023 World Beach Games in Bali according to the Constitution, I will fully support it so that it runs smoothly and is successful, the governor said. International activities such as World Beach Game are also said to be good for bringing tourists in, but if there are none, the governor said, it won't have much effect. When it comes to tourists, we don't expect too much from activities like this because sometimes there are, sometimes not. But the important thing is that there's still a lot of tourists in Bali. I observe now that even in the Ramadan situation, foreign tourists are between 13,000 to 14,000 a day and domestic tourists 6,000 to 8,000, he said. And as you know, I don't get out much these days, and well, I've been in bed for the past 3 days, which is why this video is a little later than I expected. I hurt my back, and so I couldn't get out of bed, so I haven't seen what's going on. Do you notice a lot more tourists wandering around? I know Ubud looks full, and Canggu, of course, is always full of the, what are they called, Cangguites? I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so according to this article, the minister said that the governor is 1,000% behind the World Beach Games. Article just came out in Jakarta Post. Bali governor again refuses to host Israel at World Beach Games. What? So a ministerial statement released yesterday, which I was talking about, quoted Koster as saying that the Bali administration was fully in support of the games. However, today, the governor said in a written condition that his support came with a condition. I remain consistent in refusing the Israeli team's participation in the 2023 World Beach Games in Bali, he said. The governor debunked the statement of the youth minister who said he's behind it. He says, I emphasize that this news is not true. He added that during the Friday meeting, he had underlined the Constitution and humanity must be upheld in holding the 2023 World Beach Games in Bali, as I mentioned in the last segment. He said it means that the 2023 World Beach Games in Bali should be held without the Israeli team. Sports officials have expressed concern that Koster's refusal to allow Israeli participation could lead to the games' cancellations here in Bali. just like with U20. So, what happens if the World Beach Games are canceled here in Bali? And, well, they're going to pull support from Indonesia again. Things will not look good if we get another cancellation here in terms of hosting international sporting events. Waiting to see what happens on this, and will the president jump in and have something to say? We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, I said I was going to talk about some of the bully behaving badly and all this stuff that's going on, and there's a lot I'm not going to go into. I just trashed all the articles I was going to talk about. I thought, this is just giving me a headache, and it's depressing. There's a lot of nastiness out in social media now, a lot of really bad things being said about each other, and threats to call the police and immigration, and wow, it's just a mess. Two stories that just came out. At the airport, a drunken Australian was apprehended for making a fuss. The other day, Taiwanese said that he was shaken down by customs. Turned out the customs said it wasn't them. It could have been immigration. That's still being investigated. No news on that. Deportations coming left and right. Japanese woman and her son deported. She's married to a local person living over in Jembrana and hadn't updated her visa. It was overdue almost a year, and so she was kicked out along with her son. And then there's another naked photo of a woman at the tree where last year, was it last year or 2 years ago now, there was the naked photo thing, the woman hugging the sacred tree and ceremonies had to be done and she was kicked out. Now this photo surfaced. Nilu Jelantic, the Balinese entrepreneur, activist, and, well, former politician, and she may be running for office again, I don't know. She posted a photo that turned out to be taken 2 years ago at the same place of a naked woman, and, well, the woman said, yeah, that was me. They tracked her down. Said, yeah, that was me, but I wasn't naked. I was wearing underwear, and then was photoshopped out to make the image more natural, she said. And so she's been picked up by immigration and is being questioned, and then, wow, it's just, I don't know. This whole thing is just crazy. So here is the one article that I've picked out of this. Using VOA to Bali instead of working as a photographer. Immigration deports a Ukrainian female foreigner. So a female foreigner was secured by the Ngurah Immigration Intelligence and Enforcement Team, where she was working as a photographer at a fashion event in Bali. And her activities were obtained by officers based on intelligence information and immigration control activities that are routinely carried out by the Ngurah Immigration. The Ukrainian photographer entered Indonesia on the 15th of February on a VOA, and she extended it, and it was good until the 16th. She got to leave a day early because she was deported. Paksagito from Immigration thanked the public for proactively monitoring and reporting various types of violation, and people suspected of violating the rules. Wow, suspected too, so you gotta watch out. Sagito appealed to all foreigners visiting Bali to always behave in an orderly manner by respecting the laws and cultural values of the Balinese people, because any violations will be dealt with strictly in order to uphold the honor and authority of the country before the world. And this was one of the things that has been going hot here on social media the last few days, people saying, I don't feel comfortable here anymore. And so this is an issue that is bothering some long-term residents, at least, that heat is being brought on everybody here because of the behavior of a few. And I've talked about this over and over again for the last few months, and it is continuing, and that is not a good situation. So a lot of talk about quality tourists versus quantity tourists, and here is some more quantity. And who does it come from? Who else? Our tourism minister. Tourism minister increases tourist visitation goal to 8.5 million in 2023. So Pakistan Diego Uno said that the number has been increased from 7.4, which was the original target, and gone up to 8.5. because things are looking better in Asia in terms of tourist activities. He said recent data on tourism recovery in the Asia-Pacific region shows a promising curve. It's mainly related to the percentage of people's desires to travel post-pandemic from two main markets, namely China and Australia. And India is now added to this list as well. However, he said it's also necessary to increase the number of flight seats available for planes destined for Indonesia. Due to this projected demand, the Tourism Ministry will coordinate with Indonesian Transportation Ministry. Pak Sandiaga said the target is that in the next 5 to 10 years, according to the President's direction, Indonesia attracts up to 10 million tourists from China. Okay, we're going to get a lot more Chinese visitors, maybe. Quality versus quantity? The struggle still goes on. And speaking of China, China Eastern Airline opens routes to Ngurah Airport. So China Eastern Airlines resumed flights to Ngurah starting on Friday, yesterday. And with the resumption of the operations of China Eastern Airlines, there are now 3 direct flight routes to the country from China. General Manager of Angkasa Pura I, Pak Handi, welcomed the resumption of operations of China Eastern Airlines after the COVID-19 pandemic, and this serves routes from Shanghai, one of the biggest countries in the world, and so could be a lot of tourists coming in from Shanghai on China Eastern. On its maiden flight, China Eastern Airlines with flight number MU5029 landed at the airport at 1:30 in the morning, carrying 187 passengers. The aircraft was Airbus A330 type, and it returned to Shanghai at 2:50 in the morning, carrying 94 passengers. On its first flight, the airport immediately greeted passengers with a welcome greeting. We are still waiting for proposals for new routes to China by several airlines. We are currently still discussing it with related parties. We hope that by the end of the year, the routes to and from China can return to the way they were before the pandemic, according to Pak Handi. He said the airport already serves 3 routes to mainland China: Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Xiamen. And these are served directly by 3 airlines. With the 3 routes to China, there are now 27 scheduled international routes served by 33 airlines. More Chinese tourists. And we're in the last week of Ramadan. Let's look at what's happening up here in Bululang. Jami Grand Mosque serves 1,000 servings of Kajanan porridge. Kajanan is the next kampung over that way, over to the east of us. So the Grand Mosque prepares 1,000 portions of Kajanan porridge for the iftar menu every day. Iftar is when fast opens up at sunset. The Kajanan porridge is not only for Muslims, but for everybody. They start cooking at 1500 and they go right until time to break fast. 300 portions are for the congregation of the mosque, and 700 are for anybody that wants to come. Muslims, non-Muslims, anybody can show up and ask, and you will be given some Kajanan porridge. The Kajanan porridge is being cooked in the mosque courtyard, and the fast is opened up with porridge, dates, and ice syrup with pieces of watermelon. The porridge was originally called Arabic porridge. Later, it was renamed Kajanan porridge in accordance with the location of the mosque in Kampung Kajanan. The existence of the Kajanan porridge cannot be separated from the story of the ancestors of the people in Kampung Kajanan. Ancestors were Arabs who lived in the region. In the past, they always prepared this porridge before breaking fast, or for breaking fast. And they cooked it in their home back in those days. Then the menu just kind of disappeared. The recipe disappeared for a few decades. The last time it was cooked was in the early 1980s. The mosque management managed to dig up the ingredients used to make the Arabic porridge, and they renamed it Kajanan porridge. The Kajanan porridge uses some basic Arab spices as well as Balinese spices, rice, mutton, coconut milk, seasoning, and cumin and cardamom are also ingredients. These are mixed into a large pan and stirred for 4 to 5 hours at a time. Yum. And so if you're wandering around here in Singaraja over the next few days before the end of Ramadan and you want to try out the Kajanan porridge, it is just over there. You can't miss the mosque. The mosque is located on Jalan Imam Bonjol and not far from the harbor. It's just a short little walk from the harbor, and so you might want to go and try some. And that is it. It is getting dark. It's almost nighttime. Okay, and so you hear my voice is going and I got a bad back. I don't know, not the best health time for me right now, unfortunately. And well, here in Singaraja, things are as usual, but a lot of weirdness going on in social media. And really, you know, in the end, when I ask people around in the kampung about some of this stuff, they haven't heard of any of it. They don't know about any of this fighting that's going on about, you know, leave and the country and people who are working illegally. I mean, this is stuff that goes on in the tourist area. Is it important? Yeah, because foreigners should not be working illegally, especially in jobs that Balinese or Indonesians, non-Balinese Indonesians, could do, like hair cutting and renting motorbikes and those kind of things. But sometimes this takes on such a nasty tone, it gets to where it's setting up foreigners versus local people, and that is not good for any of us. And Ramadan is all about controlling yourself, self-discipline, and so let's hope that there's a lot of self-discipline going on around the island these days. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.